We are here today in each case for our status hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. All right, then we'll take it to everybody's announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Tiffany Brown's my permanency specialist. We are present ready.
Joel Jackson on behalf of Lakeisha Stotts. She's present in my office, and we're ready, Your Honor.
Vince Nowak on behalf of Cameron Shelton. Judge, I see he's on the screen here, so we're both present and ready.
T.D. Hammonds for Adam Refugio Aguilar Jr., the father of Egypt and Arrow. We're ready to proceed, Judge. He's on the phone.
Stacey Zabala on behalf of the kids.
Right, and Mr. Jackson, did you announce?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Oh, okay, all right, I'm sorry. All right, then, what do we have new since the court reports were filed?
Good morning, Your Honor. Since the court report has been filed, we did receive Laquisha's drug screen results back. She did test positive for marijuana, and those results were filed. And also, I did meet with Laquisha last week. My interactions with Ms. Stotts are very explosive. She was hitting the table, raising her voice, crying. She has already asked for a new permanency specialist. She refuses to work with me. I got an email this morning from the parent support worker who reached out to Laquisha to set up their weekly meeting. There was a little bit of resistance there to have the parent support worker visit her in her home. And that's all that's new since the court report's been filed.
So has the parent support worker been to the home?
No, ma'am. The parent support worker was without a vehicle for a month and a half due to a drunk driver hitting her vehicle. So she had been doing the visits once a week, either in Zoom or in person. But her vehicle is now up and running, and so she can see her in the home. I have seen Ms. Stotts in her home one time since the case is opened.
Okay.
I myself do not meet with Ms. Stotts alone. I always make sure I have someone with me, or if I speak to her on the phone, I speak to her on speakerphone. Oftentimes my supervisor is there or the parent support worker. If I do not have the support of a second team member, then I send her an email.
Okay, well, is it just been her refusal to talk with you, or to?
I let her know that, I'm not her enemy, that I'm here to work with her towards the goal of reunification. It's just everything is a battle. And she relays to me that I give her Adam vibes. And that's why she responds that way to me. She's called me narcissistic. She says she's not working with me because the only way to get her kids back is to work her services. And so she's only going to deal with the parent support worker. I let her know that this parent support worker is only in the case for the first 90 days and that, we're here to work together to mitigate the reasons for removal. Accountability is a big issue. Everything is Adam's fault. Nothing she acknowledges. She does not acknowledge her role in the removal. And I brought to her attention that I did meet with Mr. Aguilar, who let me know that he does have some trauma, and that he was not the only perpetrator of domestic violence. When I brought that to Ms. Stotts' attention, that's the day last week where she was raising her voice, crying, hitting the table, and just crossed her hands across her chest and refused to work with me from that point on. I asked her about Indiana's behavior in school. Her only response was that she gets that from Adam. Indiana's struggling in school behavior-wise. There was an incident in school where all of the children had to be removed from the classroom for her safety and for the safety of others. And I was able to talk to Mr. Shelton about Indiana's behavior. And it seems like this has been an ongoing issue for Indiana in school. Not to this point where they had to clear out the whole classroom, but just a history of bullying and not being able to communicate to her teachers what was going on in the classroom.
Do we have her in with a counselor yet?
She does. She is set up for counseling starting tomorrow.
Okay.
The home study on Miss Thought's mother is scheduled for this morning. And in speaking with Mr. Aguilar, he did express strong concerns about Miss Thoughts being able to see his children in person because he relays that she has made threats to harm the children. I did go through the investigative report because he did claim that he reported that to the FBSS worker. There is mention of that in the investigative report, but no follow-up. And I just explained to Miss Stotts that the services are there for her to work. I'm not the professional. The parent support worker is not the professional. That we send her to the professional, and the professional will assess her and determine whether or not further services are needed. But that I could not hold Adam to one standard that I did not hold her to, because there is mention of domestic violence on both sides, as well as mention of threats made to the children. I did do a police call out request from the city of Amarillo. They let me know that for that address, there were 338 calls in the past year, and that they would take some time to sort through all of those to see which calls were made out to Miss Thott's address, where she lives currently and where she lives with her mother.
There were 338 calls regarding these people?
No, just the address itself, and it needed to be sorted just for Miss Thott's apartment.
Okay. All right.
So she said it would take a lengthy time to sort through all of that.
All right.
But Mr. Aguilar did claim that he did make calls out for welfare checks to check on his children because he was concerned for their safety. So I let her know that I was not targeting her, but that I had to follow up with everything that every party was making accusation of, so that we could mitigate the reasons for the removal, and that the primary goal in the case is reunification.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Ma'am, as far as the services that Lakeisha is working, are you aware of what services she's enrolled in?
Yes, sir. My purpose of meeting with her last week was to let her know that we would be requesting to add 2 new services. Because she did test positive for marijuana, we would be asking to add a OSAR assessment. And because of the domestic violence, there is a police report in the investigative report where Mr. Aguilar called the police on Lakeisha because she hit him with the rig and subsequently hit.
Your Honor, I want to object as non-responsive. My question was, are you aware of the services that she's working?
Yes.
Okay. And could you, what services is she enrolled in at this time?
At this time, she is taking a DV support class. She is doing outpatient with daily recovery, and she has already completed her RBT, and that has already been filed with the court.
Are you aware that she's attending Padre?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that she's enrolled in counseling with Stephen Jennings?
No, I made a call out to confirm, and they have not responded.
Okay. All right. I'll submit to you that she had completed 2 sessions with them. And as far as the visits are concerned, how are the visits going?
According to the visit monitor, they are mild. No complaints, but also there's some work that could be done.
Wait a minute.
Hello? I'm sorry?
Hey, just a minute. I think Miss Brown's had an interruption. Just a minute. Okay, Miss Brown, if you'll just repeat the last part of your answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Hang on. Hold on, Miss Taylor will read it.
The last thing you said, but also there's some work that could be done, and then you got interrupted.
Yes. We do owe Miss Thoughts some time because a visit ran late one evening. The visit monitor reports that there's some items that could be brought to the visits, such as hygiene and whatnot for the children. When she comes to the visits, Miss Thoughts herself, after her first visit, had a laundry list of complaints. But I talked to Indiana last weekend, and she said the visits were going well.
Ma'am, as far as the what the visit monitor is reporting that needs to be brought, are y'all making Lakeisha aware of those things?
Yes, sir. I sure did. When she called me, I let her know that I would contact the visit monitor as well as the placement to find out what the issues were, and that I would circle back with her. And I did send her an email afterward.
Okay. One thing I have have a question about is I'm looking at the status report, and in the status report, it says that Lakeisha agrees to actively participate in complete parenting classes. And then at the bottom of that, it has Lakeisha agrees to be responsible for any payments regarding her classes. Or is it the case that St. Francis is asking for her to pay for her parenting classes?
No, sir. If she's enrolled in the Padre program, it is a parenting class that is free to her that she's already partaking in. So she has not made any payment, and nor has St. Francis.
Yeah, she had indicated she hadn't made any payment. I was just curious. I'd not seen that language before.
Those classes are free.
And so finally, at the end of your report, you list your concerns, and you're worried about her behavior before and during this case and placing all of her children at significant risk of emotional and physical harm due to being exposed to serious incidents of domestic violence. What is it that she needs to demonstrate to you all that those circumstances are mitigated?
By completing services, we will ask that her service providers give us a recommendation, and also we observe her behavior. And so basically we leave it to the therapist, to the service providers to tell us what her behavior and engagement is in the services, and if she's made any significant change, and if they recommend that the children be placed back in the home.
Okay. All right, pass the witness.
Okay. All right, Mr. Novak.
Thank you so much, Judge. Tiffany, have you met with Cameron?
Yes, sir, I have.
And attitude-wise, he's got a good attitude, correct?
Yes.
I'm not sure where that's coming from, but
I'm sorry.
I locked my cat up before this hearing started, so it's not my cat.
I'm sorry. We're in the emergency room. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. In other words, Cameron's cooperative, right?
He is. He's very compliant. No problems, no issues. He did let me know that Indiana has a severe coconut allergy that I was not aware of.
Excellent, excellent. Does Cameron have visitation with Indiana?
He called me last week requesting phone visits because he has a transportation issue. I let him know that I would talk to my supervisor. Typically, if the children are in Lubbock, we do expect them to be in person. But with his transportation issue, I told him we could try to work something out so that he would be able to see his daughter.
Excellent. In other words, if he needs transportation, is that something that St. Francis can provide?
We did recently change the rules on that, so I let him know that I would have to look into that as well.
Okay, but you'll get back to me on that, Tiffany?
Yes, sir, I will.
Excellent. I guess my only question, and this is going to sound like a parental question, Cameron's doing well with y'all, correct?
So far, yes.
Okay. In other words, no issues with Cameron so far, correct?
I have not had no issues with him personally.
Excellent. Tiffany, thank you so much. Judge, I pass the witness.
All right.
Judge, if I could ask Ms. Brown a couple of things real quick. Could I ask Ms. Brown a couple of questions real quick?
Sure, and then I'll get to Mr. Hammonds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll wait for just a second.
Okay, Mr. Hammonds.
Ms. Brown, have you spoken to Adam lately?
Yes, I have.
May I say
Do you know why he is in custody out at Potter County?
He relates to me that he's sitting out a warrant and that he's accruing about $100 a day towards his tickets.
Okay, are you aware of any criminal charges that have been filed out of this reported domestic violence incident that was part of the reason for the kids getting picked up?
I have not been aware of any criminal charges in regards to the incident at the Walmart, no.
Okay, I have nothing further, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Trout. And then I'll come back to Ms. Zavala.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Brown, in the end of your report, I heard a second ago that Ms. Stotts was enrolled in a domestic violence support group. Is that correct?
Yes, she was enrolled in that class through her FBSS case.
Okay. And since you've talked to all the parties, are you wanting her to complete that, or are you asking for a waive assessment to be done?
We are asking for a waive assessment in the in this removal case, yes.
Okay. So that's something you would like added to the is that going to be added into the family plan for her?
Yes, as well as an OSAR due to her testing positive.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that we were changing that from a DV support group to a waive program. Okay. Thank you. That's all I had, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Jackson, anything else to report regarding mom today?
Your Honor, I'll just call my client briefly. Okay. Lakeisha, I'm going to have to ask you to speak up because you're soft-spoken and it's hard to hear on this program. Okay. Now you were here in the courtroom when Ms. Brown testified. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And there was some testimony regarding Indiana and what they had said that you had told her about the way that she's acting in school. Okay. Is her testimony accurate as to what you had said to her?
No.
Okay. What is it that you had told Ms. Brown in regard to Indiana's behavior at school?
I told her that she's just like her mom, and her mom was bad in school. And I told her that she misses Adam and that she wants to come home.
Okay. Right. And as far as any other testimony that Ms. Brown had testified to with regard to her meetings with you, is that accurate or not?
Yes.
Okay. And so could you explain to the court why you behave that way toward Ms. Brown?
Because I feel like she's trying to put majority of the blame on me when it's not only me.
And that's the reason for your actions?
Yes.
Okay. Are you also distraught over having your kids removed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Anybody have any questions they want to ask Ms. Stotts?
No, Judge.
No, Judge.
Just one quick question. Yeah. Ms. Stotts, I understand that there's some kind of tense in these meetings with Ms. Brown and with what's going on. Going forward, do you think you and Ms. Brown can work out to where y'all can work together to try to get reunited with your children?
Reunite with my children, yes.
Okay. And you understand, I know it may feel that way sometimes, but you understand that it's not all put on you. It is all parties have to do their part to do what's best for the children.
Yes, I understand that.
And do you think going forward that we can put those things aside to be able to get to that point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Nowak.
No questions, Judge.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions they want to ask Ms. Stotts?
No, Judge.
No questions.
No more questions, John.
All right, Mr. Nowak, anything to present today or any concerns?
Just to get my guy some visitation, and I'm proud that he's working the program and that he's cooperating with Ms. Brown, and hopefully we'll have a lot of progress to report at our next hearing, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Mr. Hammonds?
Judge, I don't need to swear Adam in, but I'll just ask him a couple information questions. I haven't had a chance to talk to him before this hearing, but Adam, what is your understanding as to when you'll be released from Potter County?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be short and concise. I've been in here since October 20th. I've had a lot of time to think about everything. I got out of the pavilion on the 10th. Currently, from the pavilion till now, I've been sober, and that has been almost 40 days, almost. I was on medication. My understanding is, and if you have any questions, I'd ask that you please hold them until the end, because sometimes I get confused. My name is Adam Aguilar Jr. The person representing me in this case to earn my children back is Mr. Hammonds, myself, and God. I am currently residing in Potter County Detention Center. I was privileged to acquire the paperwork to portray an effort in getting my children back. I'm working my steps in anger management and taking everything one day at a time. I have reached out numerous occasions to talk to my attorney, case manager, and St. Francis Ministries while I was out in the free, to which all efforts have gone unnoticed, unanswered, and no help was involved other than the most that I'm blessed with, and that's God. I'm trying to be concise as I can. A good story.
Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Aguilar, you need to speak up and slow down a little bit. This is really, it's difficult for the court reporter to take this. So if you'll slow down and no, that's okay. Just slow down and speak up.
Your Honor, I'm objecting as to non-responsive. Mr. Hammond's question was, when is he going to be released?
I understand, Mr. Jackson.
May you please wait for me to finish?
Hang on, Mr. Aguilar. I'm the one that decides who says what and when, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I agree with Mr. Jackson. That is not what Mr. Hammond's asked you. It's very apparent to me that you are reading from a prepared statement. I'm going to allow you to finish your statement, and then we're going to come back to what Mr. Hammond's asked. But I am going to give you the opportunity to finish that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Go ahead.
My cousin, Jesse Rios, was facing 25 years to life for a DWI. The judge told him, excuse my language, if you fuck up one more time and I see you again, you're done and you won't see the light of day. I'm not sure of his age now, but at the time I was 15, and hearing this story, he was about 24. I'm turning 24 in December 11th, 2023. God granted me the serenity to ask not for my freedom, but for my children's freedom, from my children's mother. I also asked that my past of domestic violences and violent behaviors not be used against me. I was in the pavilion through self-admission and self-encouragement in TJJD when I was a child, when I was young. I have no excuse. I put myself there for about 4 years, and I got myself out, and I received mental treatments. And I've been in anger management, placed on medication, placed in suicide watch, currently residing in Potter County. I admit to the continuous threats to Miss Stotts, but not without good reason and cause. I'm not here to point fingers or lead anybody wrong, but every time I said something, it got misconstrued and nobody really listened to me. My significant other, not my significant other, my children's mother, my wife, Nadia Quintana Aguilar, and my mother-in-law, Anita Pesqueda, my brother-in-law, and all of them can attest to that, and also to the following. In all incidents described, I made my statements and they were misconstrued. Miss LaShonda Walker has been coercing Miss Stotts to manipulate me in hopes of retaliation to Miss Stotts, and she thinks, she speculates that she knows me due to our 4 years of being together and a multitude of my irrational behaviors. In the said case, to which my side was unaccounted for, Kendra Bates, my former CPS provider, can attest as well. I made welfare calls to the law. I had affidavits signed by my wife and myself with the help of my mother-in-law and God, but nobody was listening to me. Only in manipulating my Miss Stotts was I able to make sure that my children were safe. All messages were sent to Kendra Bates, my previous CPS provider. I understand you may have questions. Please ask that you hold off until I'm finished. She messaged my wife, Nadia Quintana, to fight her, as well as all of her sisters, Shaniqua Stotts and Erica Ross, have both messaged my wife in threats and retaliation. My knowledge to her why she was doing that was she was engaging in high class
Mr. Aguilar, hang on. Mr. Aguilar, hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, what, Mr. Jackson?
I apologize, Your Honor, but I'm raising the same objection. Again, this is completely non-responsive.
Okay, and I'm going to sustain at this point. So, Mr. Aguilar, I'm going to direct your attorney to ask you questions. Okay? You need to discuss a lot of these things that you are reading and putting into the record with your attorney, some of which, could potentially pose some constitutional rights questions. So I think it's best that you just answer his questions at this point in time. All right, Mr. Hammond.
Mr. Aguilar, when do you anticipate being released?
My wife is currently trying to get me $1,400 to bail out of here.
Okay, are you aware of any other holds that are on you at this time?
Yes, sir. From Randall County, I have KPS court fees from mine and Miss Stotts, domestic violence from 2019. I didn't pay them, and I'm also just waiting for them to. I requested that I get time served here after they come pick me up sometime this week.
Okay, do you understand the most important thing for you to do when you're released is get a hold of Tiffany Brown? You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You know how to get a hold of her?
Yes, sir. I have her number. It's 806.
Okay. As soon as you get released, you call that, and you can meet with her, and then she'll get you started on your services. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
Okay. All right, Ms. Baldwin.
I I have no questions, Your Honor.
Anything to report today or a recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The children are all placed together. They are doing well. Indiana is struggling with behavior in school, but not showing those same behaviors in the home. Counseling is going to be starting for her. And when they brought some other adults in to observe in the classroom, her behavior calmed down as well. So that is an ongoing issue that they're working on, but she's not showing those same things in the home. Egypt is getting some ECI, speech, fine motor assistance, but in general, everything's going well with the kids in their placement. And it is my recommendation that continue.
All right, thank you. Okay, so yes.
I apologize. I know we're kind of running long on this one. Can we have a bench conference real quick?
Sure. Okay, then at this time, I do find that there's a continuing and ongoing danger to the children to return them home at this point in time. That being said, sounds like Mom is working services. Mr. Shelton's cooperating, going to start services. Obviously, Mr. Aguilar is limited in what he can do right now, but I appreciate it. Hang on, Mr. Aguilar. I appreciate the fact that he's willing to work services at such time that he's released. So I'm going to order the service plans as an order of the court today, and I will admonish parents that failure to work your services can mean the children don't go home. And in worst case scenario, it can mean termination of your parental rights. So each of you needs to do your part. Although each of you are separate and independent of one another, it's obviously better for these kiddos if parents will, work together and try to get the kids home and back into a normal relationship with each and every one of you. So I'm required by law to make sure that you know that. And if, we get to a point where we're not working services or we're having trouble, I'm going to remind you that I've told you, you've got to work these services. So Ms. Stotts, I appreciate you saying that you will do your best to get along with Ms. Brown. Truly, Ms. Brown is not the enemy. She really is here to help you. So you need to let us try to everybody do their job and work with y'all. Okay, our next hearing will be March 19th of 2024. That will be on a 9 o'clock docket. Mr. Aguilar, your attorney, I think, is going to try to call you there here before too long.
I have one more thing to say, if I may.
Do you have a question, sir?
I have a statement.
Okay, I can't. You need to. I cut you off earlier because you were getting dangerously into areas that could affect your privilege against self-incrimination. And so I'm not going to let you read or make any more statements until you've spoken with your attorney. Okay. And I'm not reading anything anymore. Well, I don't care whether you're reading it or you're just saying it to me. I don't want you to say anything else to me until you've spoken to your attorney. And that's for your best interest. Okay.
I just have a question then.
What's your question?
May I sign over my rights to my grandmother?
I'm going to allow you to talk to your attorney about that. That's something for you and your lawyer to talk about. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Are we going to be able to add the waive program and get rid of the domestic violence group in the OSAR?
I'm sorry. I will order a part of Mom Services to do the waive assessment. And then, of course, whatever recommendation comes out of that. And then the OSAR because of the positive drug test. Which, again, it's just an assessment.
Yes, ma'am.
We're just, Ms. Stotts, those are just assessments to see, is there something you would benefit from? Doesn't mean you're going to be doing something else. It's just an assessment. And then if it is recommended, then you will need to do those services. Okay. All right, I'll see everybody back. Like I said, March 19th. Conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming. Taylor is making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Kyan Williams is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Tanner Alpha for the child present ready.
Okay. And Mr. Michelson did communicate with everybody. He had a conflict this morning, and he sort of gave us a little report. So what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Since the court report, Pew's placement has placed a 14-day discharge on her. So she has to be moved by November 19th. We don't have any leads right now on a new placement, but our placement team is working on it. I also just filed the father's family plan of service this morning. I wasn't able to get a signature on it. I didn't file it. I sent it to be e-filed. So that is on its way. But those are the only updates.
Oh, and mother has engaged and been cooperative, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And Judge, her family plan was signed on October 28th and filed on October 30th.
Okay. All right. We think father's in Thailand, correct?
That's what we think. Yes. I don't know that for sure.
All right. There was some mention that maybe he was in the military. Have we explored how we might go about trying to locate him?
I have looked for how to contact the embassy. I know the investigator at the beginning of the case contacted the embassy with no luck.
Okay.
I can keep reaching out, but I haven't made any progress so far.
Okay, but we've at least attempted that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right then, Ms. Naranjo, anything to report?
Yes, Judge, I do have some concerns. I spoke with placement in Pew last week, and placement has discharged Pew because of her continued behaviors. She keeps acting out and getting into fights at school, causing problems in placement. She will throw tantrums and start urinating on herself, both at placement and at school. She's refusing to participate in the group therapy. She's just not really improving in her behaviors at this point. And my concern is if she continues getting discharged from these placements, we're not really going to make progress in improving those behaviors. Placement informed me a lot of these times these behaviors escalate because she's not having contact with mom. Placement informed me that they would be willing to facilitate direct contact with mom, at least until she's discharged. Through Ms. Crosby, she said she had no problem with mom contacting her directly. That seems to help calm Pew down sometimes. I also think because of all the issues we've been having with Pew, if we don't have CASA already involved, I think that might be a good idea to have CASA involved, as well as I'd ask the court to set an order myself, St. Francis, and CASA to participate in a meeting to try to facilitate some type of plan with Pew moving forward. I think maybe that she needs to have a new medical evaluation because it seems like maybe her medical diagnoses have changed. Maybe there's an issue there. Placement did mention to me that when she went to the doctor voiced about her seeing a pulmonologist about the oxygen, because even though she's supposed to be on it twice a day, she hasn't been cooperating or doing that, but there seem to be no serious consequences with that. So they're wondering if that's even necessary at this point. And if it's not necessary with that medically, maybe other things have changed as well.
Okay.
Also, when I spoke with Pew at first, she seemed to be more understanding, like a 14-year-old girl. But once she got upset, her cooperation and her ability to communicate went from a 14-year-old to like a 5-year-old. I don't know if it's because of mental health issues or maybe it's the language barrier. She did mention that she was more comfortable speaking in Burmese.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly gonna go with Ms. Naranjo on let's get a full medical on her, including, I think, psychiatric, unless something's been done recently.
She's had a psychological evaluation. We're just waiting for the assessment to come back.
All right. Let's go ahead and schedule a psychiatric. Let's just start. I mean, it'll be a while, so I suspect the psychological will come back and recommend that, but let's just go ahead and get it going. I think there's no doubt that we need to have that done. If we can get her settled in somewhere, then we could start some maybe intensive behavioral therapy. I think that's what we need to be looking at as far as placement. So if that ends up being Arkansas, Utah, but we need to get her in a situation where there's going to be help with what this child needs. I'm great with seeing if CASA can take on the case. Ms. Naranjo, as you know, they unfortunately we don't have enough advocates for all our cases, but we will make contact with CASA and see if they feel like this is something they can take on. I agree. I'd love to have a extra set of eyes on her. Okay. All right. Anybody have anything else? All right, then I'm going to find that there is a continuing and ongoing danger to the child to return her home at this point in time. Mom's working services, but we've got some things to do. Obviously, we've got no contact with the father at this point in time, and the child's needs, are greater, I think, than what can be provided in the home at this point in time. I'm going to order the service plans as an order of the court. And I'll see everybody back on March 19th of 2024. That'll be a 9 o'clock docket. And I also will make the finding that the department has made reasonable efforts to return the child home, but that we're just not there yet. So, okay. Thank y'all very much.
Judge, if I could also get an order having out myself, St. Francis, and Mom and CASA meet as well to discuss a kind of a game plan for Pew moving forward.
Sure. What do we want to call this thing? Is this a family team meeting, or do we call it something else nowadays?
That would be fine.
Okay. I'm going to order a family team meeting. Let us try to get CASA on board and get them in the loop. And yeah. And we're very good today. Okay. In each of those cases. Thank you for an initial permanency hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Marissa Herrera is my permanency specialist. We are present and ready.
Ryan Turman for respondent father, present and ready.
Stacey Zabella on behalf of Audrey, who goes by Hazel, and Pandora, who goes by Sage.
Okay, and just for clarification of the record, Mr. Turman is representing the father, Derek Bennett.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's correct.
Who is not present today. Mother is not present, but Mr. Fletcher is present. And as I announced, his attorney is ill today and is not going to be with us, but he indicated that you all had visited Mr. Fletcher. So, okay. All right, then. What do we have new, Ms. Herrera?
Both the children are doing well in their current placement. They're in a relative placement in Lubbock, Texas, and that placement is meeting all of their needs, getting them to all of their services to make sure that they can be developmentally on target, which they're not right now. Miss Galloway did meet with me last week for the first time in a few months. She reported that she is no longer homeless living with her mother, but placement this morning told me that they talked to Miss Galloway and she is homeless again as of last night. I did send her the link this morning through email because that's the only way to really talk to her. She changes phone numbers often. We had a lot of trouble with her with visitation. And so last week, that was the third week that we gave her that she had to confirm visit by 12 noon in order to attend the visit virtually. And she did attend that. So we did not suspend her visits last week like we were going to because she hadn't had visits since September 26th before that. And the children were just getting ready for the visits and then disappointed. So that's why we put that in place. When she met with me last week, she reported that she hasn't started any services. She doesn't have a job. Hang
on just real quick. Mr. Bennett is logging in. Just before you go any further, let me bring him in. All right, we've got Mr. Bennett with us now. All right, Ms. Herrera, you can go ahead.
And she did not drug screen for us last month, but she did admit to me last week that she used marijuana about 2 weeks ago and that she is pregnant again. Mr. Fletcher is in rehab in Lubbock, Texas, and he had a drug screen October 30th that was negative. And so we were going to start exploring in-person visitation for him. His rehab facility will allow him to leave site for just those visits and other services. Mr. Bennett is engaging in services, but he continues to test positive on his drug screens. But we're going to explore in-person supervised visits for him as well, just because he attends every virtual visit, and St. Francis would provide transportation to Lubbock because he lives in Amarillo.
What's he testing positive for?
Marijuana.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Herrera?
No, ma'am.
In your honor, believe on the Bennett case, Derek was found the father under paternity test. And Mr. Fletcher, did you do your test on the 6th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we're waiting for the results to come back on the Fletcher case, Your
Honor. Okay. So Father Bennett is not ruled out as the father of the child.
Correct, Your Honor. And
Mr. Turman, were you aware of that?
That the father was ruled to be the father of the child, or that Mr. Bennett was ruled to be the father of the child?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw the results.
Okay. You had an opportunity to speak with him about that?
I did not. We've actually spoken about his employment, but I honestly just saw the paternity when I was going through Odyssey this morning.
Okay. All right.
And
Mr. Bennett?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that the genetic testing, is indicating that you are the dad. So,
yes,
do you have any questions, or do you need to speak with your attorney about that, or would you like for me to go ahead and adjudicate you as the father of Pandora today?
I accept the role of being a father to that sweet little girl, and I appreciate being adjudicated that little girl's father.
Okay, we'll take care of that here in just a few minutes. Okay, Mr. Trout?
I was just going to ask, Your Honor, while I was talking, if we could go ahead and get a UA ordered on mom, a UA and the hair strand ordered on mom.
Okay. Then Mr. Fletcher, same thing. We can't take care of it today because we don't have the genetic tests back, but we'll see what those show.
Yes,
St. Francis and your attorney, will let you know so that you whether yes you are or no you're not. Okay.
Of course.
All right. Okay. Mr. Turman, do you have anything else today?
No, Judge. I know Mr. Bennett has gotten a new job. He's working on getting some economic stability. I just think that's great, and I think we're doing okay.
All right. And Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, the girls are together. They were both behind in lots of areas, but placement in St. Francis, everybody's working on getting them the therapy they need to get caught back up. I've got no concerns about placement at this time, and I recommend that continue.
Okay. All right, then at this time, I am going to order the UA and the hair drug tests on Ms. Galloway when we can make contact with her. I am going to adjudicate Derek Bennett as the father and establish the parent-child relationship between the two of them. I find that there's a continuing and ongoing danger to the children to be returned home at this time, and that the department is using reasonable efforts to return the children, but we're just not there yet. Mr. Fletcher, I wish you continued good luck and success in your treatment program, and we'll deal with the results of the genetic testing as soon as we have that. Mr. Bennett, congratulations on being named the father of Pandora. You may not have had a doubt about it, but it's one of those things that kind of needs to happen. So now we all know. All right then. I will continue. The department, of course, is temporary managing conservator and continue the children's current placement. And our next hearing will be March 5th. We are here 2024. In each case for the initial permanency hearing, we're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Christy Ashley as my permanency specialist. We're present, ready, go.
Maureen Lucero for the father. Miguel Contreras, Your Honor. I'm present and ready. I believe he is here also, but as Ms. Contreras stated earlier, he may have to leave for his OSAR appointment.
Ryan Turman on behalf of Respondent Father Horatio Jaquez. We are both present and ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of all the kids.
What do we have new since the court report was filed?
The children, Brady and Emily, had dentist appointments on Monday. I'm waiting for a placement to send me that paperwork. And Isidro has an orthodontist appointment tomorrow. And then, as we discussed, McGill has his OSAR scheduled for this morning.
So we're working on services.
They are working services. All 3 parents are.
Okay. Mr. Michelson had to jump over to another hearing. He might end up being back in with us, but he'd indicated to me what he had to exit suddenly while some of you were out of pocket, that Ms. Contreras would like to discuss visitation. So Ms. Contreras, is the issue that you would like to increase your visits?
Yes, ma'am, if we could increase them.
Okay, and any objection to that by St. Francis?
Currently, the only children attending the visits with them regularly are the younger 2. They enjoy the visits. We wouldn't have an objection to that.
And Your Honor, I may have some concerns.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll hear from everybody before I make any decisions, but okay. Are any problem on any drug tests, Ms. Ashley?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now okay. So the last I knew, Luis was still refusing to attend visits. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Ms. Ashley, you said the younger 2. Which 2 younger? Which children are you speaking of?
Emily and Isidro attend every visit and enjoy the visits. Luis and Brady are refusing to go to any visits still.
Okay.
Arali goes occasionally, but more regularly than not.
Okay. And have there been any issues in the visits that have been happening?
With Emily and Isidro, there haven't been any issues that I'm aware of. Arali, when she attends visits, has no communication at all with Miguel. She just kind of acts like he's not there at all.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll come back to this. Anything else then, Ms. Contreras?
No.
Okay. All right then, Ms. Lucero.
Your Honor, as far as the one issue I wanted to address today, I believe that there was a revised service plan that St. Francis wanted Mr. Contreras to sign. I told him to hold off until we had this hearing today. I think they're asking him to take or complete the BIP program, Your Honor. And I didn't see. Well, I haven't gotten to see the psychological evaluation. I know it's not filed, so hopefully I can get a copy of that. I know that he's done his counseling. No other counseling has been recommended for him. He's in the process of doing his parenting classes. He's doing all his other services. And so he's never been arrested or anything like that for any kind of domestic violence. So I would either, ask that we have, maybe set time for a different hearing so we can see what the issues are that they're asking for BIP. But as far as him not signing that additional or revised family service plan, I had told him to hold off. We've been on this case. He signed his prior service plan 4 months ago, and now this BIP issue is coming up, and it's a long program. He works a lot, so I had an issue with that.
And my understanding is the request is being made because of allegations that the children have made.
And yes, I don't know if it's back from the investigative report. I did review that, but even at that point, the St. Francis hadn't asked for BIP at that point. So I just kind of want to address that today.
Okay, I'm going to let the department respond then to, the reasons for the request.
Ms. Ashley, on that, for requesting BIP, what is your reasoning for that? What is St. Francis' reason?
There were outcries upon removal from the children of physical abuse in the home, and the investigation was ruled unable to determine.
Is there, I know we're a little bit into this case, why is it just now being asked for? Do you know why it was not on the original plan?
It was asked for back in September.
Okay.
The case was transferred to me in September, so.
Okay. Do you know why the prior worker didn't have that in there?
Because it was still under investigation.
And so that part of the investigation concluded in September when this was asked for?
Middle to end of September, yes, sir. I can get that date.
If you want that.
But the department's ruling was unable to determine?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if we may, we're just asking to have the BIP assessment completed and then go by the recommendations from the assessment.
I understand, but we all know how BIP works. So I'm not going to add that additional service. I mean, the youngest child is 7. And the fact that that investigation was ruled unable to determine, I think, well, that says to the court, I mean, we've got kids 7 and up who are fully capable of communicating, who are fully capable of speaking, who are fully capable of telling their story, you know, unlike if we were talking about a 3 or 4-year-old even. So I'm not going to make it an additional requirement. Did you all say Mr. Contreras has completed his counseling?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Do we know, was there ever any discussion or anything like that in counseling? Did the counselor address any of those issues?
Is that for me?
Yes,
yeah.
Okay. That's not specifically addressed in the therapy notes I received.
Because there'd not been any indicator of it originally. I mean, there wasn't any indicators about that at the time of removal, or at least in the intake.
Correct.
And so, okay. All right. I'm not going to require him to do the BIP assessment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think I know where that's going to head. Okay. Mr. Terman?
Judge, I think everything's going well as far as Mr. Jaquez is concerned. He's working his services. He's moving things. I understand that there's been a little bit of difficulty in getting some services completed, just trying to find someone that can do them in Spanish. But my understanding is that's also near being resolved, and I think things are going well.
All right. And okay, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I have some questions for Ms. Ashley.
Ms. Ashley, do you want her under oath, or you just want to ask her questions?
Oh, I can just ask her questions. I trust her to tell the truth. Okay, Ms. Ashley, in the documentation when this case began, there was documentation about Isidro's medical and the dental, but we've got 5 kids in this case. Do all 5 of them have extensive dental issues?
4 of the 5 had extensive issues.
Okay. Now, out of the 5, my notes showed that the least amount that any one of them had in terms of cavities was 9. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Did Brady require kind of an emergency root canal?
Yes.
Okay. And Isidro was who we were originally concerned with.
Yes.
Okay. And then did she have like 14 cavities?
Yes, ma'am.
The judge asked about mom testing clean. The problem with mom originally was an abuse of prescription drugs, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so is she testing clean because she now has a prescription for the same drugs that she was taking before?
The drug screens that I received show that she's within the limits range. So it's testing negative.
O'Reilly, she has just started her freshman year in high school, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And a few days after she finishes her freshman year of high school, she will turn 18.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you agree that she has loved school so far?
Yes, ma'am.
This same girl that was held out for multiple years?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree that we're going to have to scramble really hard after she turns 18 to get her caught up to where she could be anywhere close to graduating?
Yes, ma'am.
But this is the first year in many years she's had a traditional school environment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. For Emily, she'll be turning 8 in a month or so. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And she's in first grade?
Yes, ma'am.
And she was held out a year and then missed 40 days of school last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she loving school right now?
Yes.
Can she tell you about the 31 out of the 40 tricky words that she can now spell?
Yes.
Okay. Are these problems, 5 kids with extensive dental work, school issues for the oldest, the youngest, are these problems that occur over a matter of months?
I would say longer.
So we've been in this case for all of 6 months, but these kids, would you agree they've been in this situation for years and years?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe that Luis and Brady, if they're choosing not to go to visits, that they should be able to make that choice?
Yes, ma'am.
All the kids are participating in therapy?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you also agree that Aurelie should have a choice in what kind of visits she should have?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation today?
I do, Your Honor. I do. The kids are all thriving in their placements. They're happy. They're doing well. I believe that the children should have a say in who they visit and when. And while the 2 younger ones are having regular visits, and I do believe those are important to them, I am concerned about upping visits at this time. I do think that's something that the therapist could address. But I do know for Isidro and Emily, those visits are helpful and that they do want those visits.
All right. So
I also know the 2 oldest would love to speak with you at some point, and so I can set that meeting up.
Sure. So is Aurelie in the same placement or is she in a different placement?
She is in a different placement, but it's all family, and they're getting regular sibling contact.
Right. Okay. Aunt and uncle have the other kids, and aunt has Aurelie. Okay.
Yes.
Good. All right. Well, I will go ahead and increase the visitation between Emily and Isidro and parents. I'm going to continue to support the other children's choice to attend or not to attend. Forcing them to attend is not going to do anybody any good right now. Where are we, Ms. Ashley, as far as starting any kind of family therapy? Have we had any recommendations yet to do that?
No, ma'am. The children, they were on waiting lists, so they just recently started counseling. But Aurelie, Brady, and Luis are all adamant at this time that they're not willing to do that.
Okay. So we're not there yet. We'll have to wait and see if we get there or we don't get there. Okay. Okay, then. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'm going to continue all the children's current placements. And like I said, we'll increase Emily and Isidro's visits to the 2 hours a week. We let the other children continue to determine whether they want to visit or not. I'll make a finding that there's an ongoing and continuing danger to each of the children to return home at this time. Still working on some services, and obviously we've got a lot of ground to cover with some of the children before reunification is going to be possible. I will find the department is using reasonable efforts to return the children home, and that we'll just keep working on this. And then our next hearing will be March 5th of 2024. And that's on a 9 o'clock docket. We're here on a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jennifer Campos is an emergency specialist. We're present ready.
Joel Jackson on behalf of Chelsea Jeffrey. I'm ready, Your Honor. Is my client in a waiting room?
No. Neither parent is present.
Okay.
Vince Nowak on behalf of Mario Marino. I don't believe he's here, but I am ready to proceed, Judge.
All right.
Judge, is Casa in this one? I'm not seeing them on screen.
Yes, they are, and I'm looking to see who I've got. Ms. Garrett, hang on, let me bring her in. And, you know, I need to bring Mr. Turman in. His client keeps logging back in. Okay. I'm not sure we got language issue. Mr. Turman, Mr. Jaquez, he was still in. I removed him. Does he speak English?
He does not. Well, I don't know if he understands. We visited in Spanish, and I didn't really think to get an interpreter prior to this, so I was planning on just calling him and explaining everything to him.
Okay, he's trying to log back in. You might, if you can.
I can send him a message real quick.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll put you back in the waiting room. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. My apologies. Looks like she just fell out, maybe. So that may be the problem.
Judge, I just need to announce that I'm present and ready.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So what do we have new other than we don't know where parents are?
I did file that amended court report. We did do a goal change for the kids due to parents not having any contact and not doing services. Other than that, the kids are doing well. Kiara has been kind of having some, I guess you could say, not behavior issues, but she is shutting down a lot, not wanting to attend visits with her sister. So we are going to start like a therapeutic visit between them two and see if we can't get the therapist to help her process through the visit. And then we have been looking for family to see who could take in the girls. We do have a CFE meeting for November 28th for CASA to help us look for anybody. We've contacted several people and no callbacks, or we do have the sister of Chelsea that's interested in taking the girls. I am going to schedule a visit with her and see if she's capable of taking care of the kids. I believe she's still young. She doesn't have any kids of her own, so I'm not for sure how well that would work with Anaya's medical needs.
All right, Mr. Jackson, anything to report?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Nowak.
Thank you so much, Judge. Jennifer, just to confirm what we talked about earlier today, you haven't talked to Mario since he's been released, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any way of getting a hold of him, any contact information? I don't have, other than what you emailed to me.
No, sir. The number that I emailed to you and stuff like that is no longer in service. He did talk with CASA maybe a month ago, and I tried to contact him after that, and the phone was disconnected. We have done a finder search to see if we could find him another way. I mean, we've done several of those. It just keeps coming back with the same stuff, same address and everything. So
thank you, Jennifer. Has Mario completed any services?
No, sir.
Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
Judge, I don't have any questions of the witness. I do have some information for everybody involved in the court that I can just present, if that's all right.
Sure.
I had a conversation with placement for Kiara with Erica Willingham. She expressed some concerns that she wanted to stress that the Willinghams are not long-term placement. She expressed to me that she felt with each passing month, my words, not hers, that Kiara is getting more and more attached, and that that because the goals have changed, that she has really made it very clear to me that we need to move in the direction to find other placement for Kiara. She did not go so far as to say she's giving her notice, but the impression I got is that we really need to start looking hard for other placement for Kiara. I got the impression that this is something we need to probably, as a group, get on, because we don't want to be put in a situation where we do get that notice and are scrambling. So that was a bit upsetting. Obviously, the kids are doing good in placement. My recommendation for today is going to be placement continue, department continue, but we need to start really looking hard.
Well, I mean, if we're going to have the CFE meeting, I think we need to do that. When is that scheduled? Is it coming up soon?
Yes, ma'am. It's actually November 28th.
Okay. I think we get through that. I mean, it's really sounding like we need to start looking for legal risk placement for the kids. I mean, we're quite a ways into the case, and we haven't had anybody step up or show up or approved or at this point. So I'm all in favor of the CFE. I think let's go with it and see what stones we can turn over. But parents are in the wind, and it's we've got, and especially with one child with the medical needs that she has. So I think it's time that we got to start turning our focus to a legal risk placement. But I certainly want you all to do the CFE and see what you can figure out. The one relative that Ms. Campos has mentioned, I certainly would have concerns if she's very young, particularly with Anaya's situation. Might be different for Kiara, and sadly, this could be a case where we're looking at a sibling split just due to the level of care that Anaya is going to need. So I know we never want to go there, but it sometimes just has to be. Okay, I'll continue, or excuse me, Casa. Apologize.
I apologize for a while ago. I couldn't get nothing to work. The kids are doing well, according. Alexi said that she's only had one contact with dad, and ever since then she's not had any contact with dad or mom, either one. It's concerning that we're 9 months into the case and they've not done anything. Anaya did do a swallow test and is now able to eat solid foods, which is really good. I think they're going to start working on getting more table food to her and see how she does. CASA's recommendations are to, for the children to remain in the placement and parents do their services.
All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue placements, and hope the best outcome at the CFE. But if that doesn't turn anything up, I think we got to start taking a really hard look at legal risk placement. So, okay, we are set for our final in this case, February 1st of 2024. That's on a 9 o'clock docket. Right now, I'm not seeing any reason why this case would go into an extension. So I think everybody be prepared. We'll go to a final in February.
Yeah, and Your Honor, I meant to recommend that we in my recommendation to say I don't see any reason in the world to extend this case at this point.
No, things would have to change really rapidly. Okay, thank you all very much. Appreciate everybody's patience. I'm sorry we're running behind, but everybody blame it on Mr. Jackson.
When I get in the office, I'll make sure that kind of stuff's corrected.
I mean, I'm just saying the obvious, but
yeah, it's easy to always blame Joel.
Kicking a man while he's down.
I find it's always easier to blame Brooks.
Actually, it probably usually is my fault, so that's probably a good direction to go.
Unfortunately, he wasn't there this morning, so he's also visiting for just a quick second.
Y'all have a good week.
Okay.
And Judge, I was on, since we're on do we just talked about, I can go ahead and cut Miss Tucker loose, and we can give her the new date and cut her loose if we need to.
Look at her; she's already reaching for the button. You know, Ms. Tucker, we've dubbed you Quick Draw McGraw. You're like the fastest person on that leave button.
You're muted, Mel.
Might be a good thing that she's muted.
If you tell me I can go, then I go. Busy.
I think we're gonna set this, Mel, for February 8th.
Never go back to in person.
Well, there may be some. I mean, it just. I do think that. I mean, we don't have as much problem with that. Trying to corral people, you know?
Yep.
It's not the chaos that it was, just trying to, you know, it was like herding cats.
Exactly.
I mean, it really was. I don't know. Some courts hate it. I mean, some absolutely hate Zoom. And
as long as the internet's working, it's usually pretty good.
Well, and you know, I think it just works better for some. I think it works better for some things than others, and I just think our cases are sort of are some of the things that it really works better for.
Yep.
At least up in this part of the world where everybody's so spread out, and you know, it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah.
So,
Stacey, I think that was. I'm sorry.
You don't have to spend 3 hours driving out to Palmer County and then turn around for a 15-minute hearing and then drive back.
Yeah. Yeah. We are here today for a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming. And Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll take announcements. And I'm going to remind everybody, if you don't slow down, I will slow you down.
Todd Alvey, on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, ready to proceed. Summer Daniels, caseworker for St. Francis Ministries, will give you the update.
Sage Seal, attorney for the respondent mother, Jennifer Walters. She is present by Zoom, and we are ready, Your Honor.
Yeah. Judge Brian Johnston, I'm appearing for Bailey Sapien, who's the guardian ad litem, Ms. Walters, and we're ready.
Aaron Molinax, attorney ad litem for the child, ready.
All right, and Casa is present, Ms. Hall and Ms. Monzingo. All right, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Since the court report, I have been working with Diana Gonzalez. She's the developmental disabilities specialist for DFPS. She sent in a referral for Rose for a determination of intellectual disabilities. And we're waiting to hear back. Rose does qualify for an HCS slot with another health impairment. When I last spoke to Rose, she was doing very well in placement. Her grades are good. She's been excited about school. And I have no concerns about placement at this time.
Okay, Ms. Daniels, I know what an HCS slot is, and I just want to make sure that Mr. and Ms. Parr and Ms. Walters understand what that is.
The acronym just left me.
It's okay. I know it's, and I can't think of it either, but you just describe what it is.
So it would be a place such as ADVO.
It's home and community-based services.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so the Parrs are obviously familiar with that.
Yes, they are.
And so is Ms. Walters.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. All right. Anything else new?
Nothing new that's not on their court report, I believe.
She would have to be 16 to go to ADVO, correct?
That is correct. I was told by Diana Gonzalez that St. Francis cannot place at ADVO for reasons such as background checks that don't meet the requirements that DFPS would require. She didn't get in too much to that, but she did tell me that, but there were other options.
So let me just pose the question. Rose will turn 16 next June.
Correct.
If at that time we felt like the department could dismiss out, could the Parrs and Ms. Walters then secure a spot for Rose at ADVO without the department's involvement?
I believe that might be an option. I would have to ask Mr. and Mrs. Parr.
Judge, it's something that I can begin discussions with Miss Ferguson about.
Well, that seems like a very logical next step to me. And I understand the department's problem with that may be that there are so many residents at Advo and lots of people that come and go from that facility. It would be very difficult to do background checks on all of those people. I'm seeing heads nodding, so I guess I'm on the right track. Okay. But it's a great organization and a great facility. And obviously Ms. Walters is there.
Right.
So it just that just seems to me like the next logical move. Our case has not been extended yet. The dismissal date isn't even until February. So if we need to keep Rose in placement and extend in February, that gives us plenty of time to get to her 16th birthday. All right, that's my thinking. Okay, Ms. Seal.
No questions of Ms. Daniels, Your Honor. It's my understanding that Ms. Walters would be in agreement with the current situation and then possible looking at ADVO.
Okay. All right, and Mr. and Ms. Parr, since Ms. Ferguson isn't here, I'll just, let you all address anything, concerns or questions.
Your Honor, we don't have any questions. We agree that is a logical plan.
Okay, and Mr. Johnston?
Really don't have anything to add. I would only have one question, and the PARS could probably answer this. Would it violate any of the court orders or any of the restrictions of the conservator to allow the PARS to begin the process at Advo? I know they can't complete it.
Again, that sounds like a Ms. Watson question.
I was waiting for it. They can start that independently. The important thing is she has to have that HCS slot secured before we're out of it, because being in a CPS case bumps her higher up on the list. And as you know, the list is about 10 years right now, the waiting list for them. So once that's done, that's fine, because they're not actually a parent in the situation. They're conservators themselves, basically, before this. That should be fine, because I assume the plan is going to be that they go back to being the conservator once DFPS is gone.
Looks like not necessarily.
Okay, so are you searching then for HCS for dads to come in and be a guardian for Rose?
I may have raised questions that nobody's prepared to answer today, but I did want people to begin thinking about those things, because if there are parts of the process that can be begun now would be a good time to start that.
Yeah, 3 things need to happen. 1, they need to apply for Social Security disability for Rose if they haven't already. Need to secure the HCS slot, which can be jumping through some hoops, and then determine what they're going to do about guardianship/conservatorship of Rose once the department's gone.
I'll be quiet now. No more questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Robbie.
Again, I will reach out to Ms. Ferguson and talk with her about this so that we're all on the same page.
I think a team meeting would be probably very beneficial. So that would be my suggestion.
We can make that happen also, John.
Yeah. All right, Ms. Molinax.
Your Honor, Rose is doing well in her placement. She said her visits with her parents are going well, and she wanted me to say hi to her mother for her. She says everything's going good, and her favorite subject is art, and she still likes drawing. Otherwise, she's doing well, and I believe the current placement is appropriate until we figure out what's going to happen with regard to the HCS, I think they called it. That's all.
Okay. And when Ms. Watson mentioned about Social Security disability, Ms. Parr, I thought I saw you maybe indicating that you all have done that.
Yes, yes, ma'am, we have, and she also has qualified as a other related condition, and so she does have an HCS slot.
Okay, great. All right, CASA.
Rose is doing really great in placement. I actually visited her on October 30th, and I went to her school. She was doing really good. She was excited for Halloween. She is passing all of her classes. However, when I spoke with her counselor and the special education counselor, they had just hired a new one that day. So I didn't get to speak with her. She was actually out. But her normal school counselor said she was passing all of her classes. And something that raised a red flag to me, though, was she had several unexcused absences. And so I asked her about that. And she said, I guess they hadn't transitioned Rose into a different class that she was wanting to take. And so Rose kind of took it upon herself and went to the new class without it actually being changed on her schedule. Other than that, she was doing great. She was very happy. And then, well, also due to those unexcused absences, she would have to go make up some classwork during the week after school. I am hoping for to continue the frequent med reviews. And then also, I did have a question about Advo. Would she be able to attend extracurricular activities such as football games and things like that? Well, is there someone who would take her to those things?
This is Carly. She's from Advo.
Hey, so I did have a question. If Rose, did go there, would someone be able to take her to extracurricular activities and things like that the school is having?
Yes, if we have an opening at the time that she is ready to be dismissed, yes, we do provide those opportunities for them. But I want to make sure that everyone understands that ADVO serves adults. And so our first priority is to ensure that we would have an appropriate placement for her when she receives her HCS slot. At the current time, we do not have any placements available. So I can't. I'm sorry.
How often do those come available? Is there a standard?
We don't, well, an HCS, so we have 21 HCS homes. And so a vacancy becomes available in those homes basically by death of a resident, or if a resident chooses to relocate to another provider. At the current time, we are not opening any new group homes just due to the state of the current situation with funding in the group homes system itself. So now if that changes, we might, but at the present time, we're not planning on opening any new homes. So you're saying it would be June of next year?
At the earliest.
Okay. So, I can't really predict what would be happening by then. It would be hard to tell.
So although that may be kind of a goal to keep in mind, it may not, I think everybody needs to know that may not just fall into place as quickly and as easily as we may want it to. So,
correct. That may be something that we have to kind of massage. And it may happen, or it may be something that we have to work towards once we get an opening. It's
right. It's like all placements through the FPS system. We have to have one. So, and the other options that we have, just for everybody's benefit, there is always permanent managing conservatorship to the Department of Rose, which buys us a lot more time. So, and that conservatorship can always be modified. If it appears at some time that, let's just say even, if she's 17 or 17 and a half and one of those spots becomes open, okay, then the department could dismiss at that time, and either the PARs or however that's going to look would become conservators of her. So, it's always subject to modification.
So Rose did tell me that she did not want to go to Advo, but her other thing was that she, wanted to go home, and that's not an option. So I think she was just saying, she didn't want to go there because she wanted to go home. But my other concern is maybe like what rules and regulations, what would the environment be like at Advo for a minor?
Typically, HCS placements, they have to be licensed to care for anyone under the age of 18. They have to, regulate those homes strictly. That not only do they fall under the HCS rules, they're going to fall under CPS rules as well, which is the reason why someplace like Advo, which has a varying number of adults over the age of 16, over the age of 18, even to that matter, all have to have criminal background checks. So there's a lot more juggling involved in that. If a resident changes, and there are multiple HCS housing opportunities statewide. Advo is not the only place available. There's several. You have Daybreak, you have COI, you have a bunch of them statewide. And so what my experience has been working with several other people who have gotten HCS slots is we ended up taking PMC in those cases until the child is 18. Transition that child to a dad's guardianship so that they can remain in their HCS slot without any disruption of services. And at that point, they sign an extended care agreement, their guardian would, so that they can continue receiving not just the HCS benefits, but they can still get the DFPS foster care, Medicaid, and all of that as well, if that helps a little.
Thank you. Yes. And that's all I have.
Well, the good part is we've got lots of time that we can be discussing all of these different options and then come to a decision down the road about what's the best arrangement for Rose. So, Carla, thank you very much for your input. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. Okay. Then today, I think what we do is we're just going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator. We will continue Rose's placement. And our next hearing is set as our final, and that's January 24th. I strongly suspect that will be an extension. But I would like everybody to have maybe the first of probably maybe several family team meetings. And let's at least kind of find out where everybody stands right now, so we know what we got to start looking for. Okay. Thank you all so much. Ms. Bonjour, thank you very much for your service today. Chamberlain, we are here today and a compliance hearing in January. We are conducting this through Zoom, and we are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record this afternoon, excuse me. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Clyde Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor. The FBS worker who will give us an update will be Ms. Rachel Baca.
Okay, Mr. Taylor is not present today on behalf of the mother, Ms. Lancaster. We got word first thing this morning, Mr. Taylor is ill today, so I'm not expecting him. All right, Mr. Sheridan.
My client, Tim Chamberlain, is here, Your Honor, even though I think we've been excused from the case. We just kind of wanted to stay and see what was happening.
Okay. Let me just ask, because, I did have a note that he had been dismissed from the case. So, counsel, any objections to them staying in?
I don't have any objections, Your Honor. I might have an objection if we had him participating a whole lot, but I don't have any objections to him watching.
Okay.
My only participation would be just some of the things that we got in the recent court summary, which again I think are not totally accurate. But other than participating, other than just having a discussion with the court on what they put in the court summary that I think should not be there, we wouldn't participate.
Well, that's participating.
Well, my problem is, Judge, even if we're out of the case, they shouldn't be allowed to just put whatever garbage they want to in the court summary. So I don't know. I guess you'll have to make a decision on that. Maybe I need to file a motion to try to get that corrected later, but some of it's just not right.
Well, have you attempted to just take that up with the department folks?
Well, on another case that we've been trying for about 5 months to set up visitation with children, supervised, of course, or on app close. And I've contacted Mr. Alvey on that, I don't know how many times. And the last communication we got was, well, that hadn't been discussed with whatever person yet. So even though the court had indicated you didn't have any problems with us doing that, we still have to work around the bond conditions on that, and nothing's happened.
Judge, a couple of things. First of all, Mr. Sherritt's client is out of this case, so he doesn't have any standing to file any motions. He doesn't have any standing to make any arguments. And as far as his second issue, what he just talked about, that's a whole different set of facts. And you know, there are other problems in that case, but that doesn't relate to this case. So I don't think that any of that's worthy of an argument today.
Well, here, you know, the cases, I mean, I have to say, I've got to agree with that. I mean, Mr. Sherritt, I dismissed him. He's not a party to the case. There's nothing for you to represent him in this case. I mean, we're working with the mother exclusively at this point in time. I mean, nobody's asking him to work services. Nobody's asking him to do anything. I quite frankly, I don't know why you're getting reports in a case that he's not in. So I don't know how that even happened. But
if you would read the court summary and you read that
I read them before every hearing, Mr. Sherritt.
You know, ma'am, why I'm making that objection, because it doesn't refer to him being dismissed from the case. It says he's not complying with what we agreed to, which is not correct. And maybe I need to request a separate hearing on this then, because these reports can have an effect in the future and they need to be correct. And some of the things that are listed in this cause me concern. Now, if they can just put whatever they want to and put that he hadn't complied with anything, he's a danger to his children, and we're out of the case and we can't do anything, then I guess I just need to see where we go from here. I'm not trying to participate. I'm just trying to get what's in their court summaries corrected.
Well, I guess my question, I'm not sure why there's much of anything in there regarding him. I mean, the one note that I have was just that mother had made the reference that she wasn't ready for him to return to the home, but that was from mother, not him. I mean, I'm going to try to pull it up if you'll give me just a minute, but I don't. Why are we, Mr. Alley? Why would we have anything in there about father in compliance or anything else?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Your Honor, but since he's been dismissed out of the case, we shouldn't have done any of that. But I don't think I think it's all going to be mute after today anyway.
All I'm talking about is where it's progress, Judge.
I know what you're talking about, Randy. It's just I don't think that it is relevant to what today's at, because your case is already out.
If the case is over, why is this included in the last one we got?
And then I just answered the judge. I don't know why.
Well, who wrote the report?
Ms. Baca.
Okay, Ms. Baca, why is there anything in there pertaining to Mr. Chamberlain at this point in time?
Your Honor, the court summary states that he was dismissed from the case at the last hearing. The only other thing that mentions him is at the bottom for recommendations. We are not able to give a recommendation on whether or not he can return to the home, because we have not been able to assess any behavioral changes because we have not been able to work with him. Other than that, there's nothing else about Mr. Chamberlain in the report.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's a short report. It does say he was dismissed from the case. It reports on mom's progress. Reports on the children.
Page 2, towards the bottom where it says progress.
I'm looking at, it's a 2-page report. I don't have it pulled up, so I don't know when it was filed, but the 2-page report, it gives mom's progress, talks about the children, and then it gives the recommendations. It just says the department's unable to assess if it's safe for him to return to the home because he's no longer part of the court order of the case and they don't observe daily behavior or relationship changes. I mean, I'm not reading anywhere where it says father hasn't complied, or I guess my question is, are we looking at one and the same report?
I don't know. May I read you the one I've got? You can see it's on the second page towards the bottom. Mr. Chamberlain has not been actively participating in services with the
that is not the report I'm looking at. There's nowhere that it even starts out with that.
That would have been the report from the last one, Randy, and that's the reason we dismissed him out.
Well, this is the one that we just got, is what I'm saying. It may be the one that was sent before, but this is the one that we just got.
Well, it isn't the current summary, and I have looked through the entire summary. There's no comment about him other than they can't assess because they're not involved with him. So, I'm going to go ahead and excuse you all from the hearing at this time, because I mean, there's nothing in there that reflects on him one way or the other, Mr. Sherrod.
We're gone.
So, okay. All right. We'll make sure everybody cleans up what gets sent. But, okay. All right, then. Let's get an update.
I rely on Miss Baca, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Baca, what do we have that's new?
So Miss Lancaster and the kiddos have been doing well. They finished the family-centered treatment successfully. They have had all positive reports from the family intervention specialist, and they are completely done with services at this point.
Okay. Rachel, would it be acceptable at this point in time for me to move that the case be dismissed in its totality?
Yes.
Okay. We would do so, Your Honor.
All right. Let me just make sure Mr. Johnston is the ad litem. We're standing in for the ad litem. You're muted. You're muted.
It's my understanding that based on that report, based on the situation of the children, that the ad litem would agree with a dismissal of the case with the children in the home.
All right. Ms. Lancaster, you ready for that to happen? Okay. You're muted, but I can hear you saying okay. Yes. All right, then. Congratulations to you, and thank you for your hard work and for doing this. And I hope that the outcome is a good one and better for you and the kids. And so I wish you the best of luck. And that's it. You won't have to see me again. So, all right. There won't be any further hearings. I will sign an order of dismissal when that comes in. And I guess somebody might want to just call Mr. Sherrod's office and tell him the whole thing is gone.
I will make sure he gets a copy of the dismissal also, Your Honor.
We're here on a review hearing. All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. Okay. I'll take everybody's announcements.
Todd Alvey on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor. St. Francis Ministries Permanency Specialist Tasha McIntyre will give us an update.
Stacy Grant on behalf of the Child Bible Roper, and I'm ready.
All right.
Working with Emerald Casa, and Ron Francis is the advocate.
All right. Thank you. All right. So what do we have new with Mr. Roper?
Little Mr. Roper is doing good. He's growing. We finally got to trim up his hair and kind of shape it up. He looks like a grown little boy now. Unfortunately, just got a text that he has strep right now, so we just got antibiotics, but that is the only update I have on that. Also, paternity is scheduled for today for Mr. Dominguez, and that is the only other update I do have.
Okay. I thought I'd read that was set for back in September, but was it a no-show?
So they're having trouble getting into the TDCJ facility. This will be pool number 3 that they've had issues getting in, but today was scheduled and we have not had an update yet. So I'll keep everybody updated as much as I can.
Okay.
And I have been updating Miss Sapien, his attorney, along the way.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. What unit is he in?
I do not know off the top of my head. It's on my court report.
That's fine. No worries. And technically, Miss Sapien is no longer his lawyer. I dismissed her at the end, at our final. So I'm just telling you, you really don't have to keep her in that loop now.
Well, she was calling me for updates, and she's been in communication with his mother. So I don't think she's aware that she's been dismissed either. So.
Okay. Well, she had somebody standing in for her, and we told Mr. Johnston that she was dismissed. Miss Katie, if you'll just shoot her an email about that, that'd probably be good. Just clarify. Okay. All right, then. I read that we were going to get together and have a CFE. Miss King, is that correct? Or Mr. Francis?
Your Honor, we have looked at CFE, of course, with Bible, and we have ran a Seneca, and it has come back with, of course, we put the mother's name in there as well. And not knowing, I didn't put the paternity in there due to the father. We're not really for sure, who the father is. So it was just the mother that ran. And it only came back, I think it was with maybe second degree. I'd have to look at that again for you right quick and tell you exactly what that said. But we're not really locating anything as far as, a connection for Bible. And that's what CFE is all about, is connecting. And he really, he doesn't have any siblings. So, that would be a perfect connection for him, but he just doesn't have any.
He does have a sibling. He does have that older sister that the dad is here in Amarillo, and we have searched that, and the dad wants nothing to do with it. He does not want the connection. Also, at the end of our last hearing, I do want to mention, Your Honor, Miss Tashetta Smith emailed and called Carla and I both and wanted a home study ran on her husband, because even though her rights are terminated, he can raise the kid and they can live in the same house. I told her that's absolutely not possible. And to get us any other family in, that's where that sits.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, his current placements, not long term.
Yes, they are. They would like to adopt if this paternity does not come back as a match. They do want to adopt and they do want to move forward. They have since day one.
Okay. All right. All right. So we've got a fallback plan.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, let's hope we get the genetic testing done today, and then we can get that back, and then we can just move forward one direction or the other. All right, Miss Grant.
Not a whole lot to add, Your Honor. Tasia keeps me up to date on this case, just like all of her cases. We all know and love Tasia and how good a job she does. Ryan Francis also has been an exceptional advocate for Bible, and sees and checks in on him regularly, and I really appreciate Mr. Francis in this case. But both of those compliments being given, Bible's doing well. He is in a long-term placement that I think and hope for him will turn out to be his permanent home at some point. That seems to be where this is headed, barring any changes based on that paternity testing that was just discussed. But I am not sure. I did want to ask Tasia if there's a projected release date for Mr. Dominguez should he come back as the father.
On the bottom of the court report, I put that in there, but it is over 3 years away. He's still, okay. It is at the very end, right above my recommendations.
Gotcha. And I knew it was in there. I just could not, I didn't have my court report on my desk, to be quite honest. But anyways, Your Honor, even if that paternity test, should it come back, that may not wind up being able to be a placement based on the length of incarceration. And so obviously there may be a different outcome to that if he's owed an attorney or whatever. But my recommendation would be to leave him where he is, that no change in placement be done without further order of the court or having hearing held on such change. And I know that it's not Tasia or St. Francis's plan to move Bible in any way. And to my knowledge, I've not seen any appeal come through from the mother. And so I think that appellate time has passed as well. So we're well into permanency after final at this point.
Okay, so, and my recollection was this dad came into the picture very, 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 very late in the game.
Yes.
It was a surprise. I don't think he is real interested either. I think we just have to prove that he is or isn't. So
yeah. Okay.
I expect if he is, Your Honor, that he would be interested in cooperating with some type of permanency for Bible rather than complicating issues for Bible.
I do want to say that his mother, if he is the father, he does want a home study on his mother. I have spoke with her, so is Miss Sapien. But I have run criminal backgrounds on her. So I'm not real leaning towards that much. But we do have to look into it if he is the father. So that is there. So
okay.
He has not mentioned wanting to be the father, like to step up because of that. He's only mentioned his mother, and that is it.
Yeah. Well, obviously he's not in much of a position to
right.
Parent, let's put it that way. Okay, then we're just to wait for that to come back, and then we'll know what direction we need to go at that point. So I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I'll continue Mr. Little Bible's placement. And our next review hearing is April 24th of 2024. I would hope once we get the genetic testing back, then maybe there'll be whatever next step, if that's a modification or whatever that next step looks like, we'll already be into that by that time.
I would hope so, no.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I mean, I wanted to note that I did too run a Seneca on Mr. Dominguez. I did. So if it happens, it's there. We have it on file. There's like, it looks like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 siblings, possibly to him. Not any other associates or second degrees. So, I mean, if it happens, I'll have that information for CFE.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. And I'll see you back in April on this.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Okay. Unless we're ready to do something before that, and then I'm happy to set it before then.
I'll let you know.
Hearing. Okay. Conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right. We'll take your also announcements.
Todd Alvey on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Mavis Opoku Asante is a St. Francis Ministries Privacy Specialist who will be giving us an update.
Erin Mullinax, attorney at Ladder for the Child Ready.
All right, CASA's with us today. Ms. Hall and Ms. Mumzingo are present. Okay, what's the
I'm sorry. A lot has happened since the court report was pending. On 11/7, Braden and 2 of his peers stole a vehicle from Katy and drove it all the way to Alvarado, where they were apprehended and detained at the Alvarado Police Department. And he was picked up around 5 p.m. and returned to placement. And then on 11/8, around 7 p.m., he ran again and then returned around 10:30 p.m. And then on 9/11, he ran again around 5:30 p.m. And then he was brought back to 5:30 a.m. And he was brought back to the facility around 9 a.m. by the Houston PD for stealing in Walmart. And then he ran away again at 1 p.m. and came back at 8 p.m. And then on 11/10, Braden was jumped at school. I think he was telling people that he was gang affiliated, and because of that, the other rival gang, the boys beat him up, and he had to be picked up and brought home from school. So these are the latest update on Braden.
So, was he in a public school?
Yes.
Love to hear that we've got gang affiliations and associations actively going on in the public schools. So what's placement's position? Are they getting ready to pull the trigger on us, you think?
They already gave notice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was denied for the QRTP. They reviewed him, said he wasn't stable enough with all the runaways at this time that they wouldn't be able to keep him safe.
Yeah. Well, I would say that they're probably right.
Though I'd rather him run in Lubbock than I would in Houston.
Well, sure. I guess. I mean, so what's our plan?
Well, we just secured a placement for him in Richmond. And Richmond is about an hour from Houston. Mm-hmm. So he'll be going there on the 20th.
Okay, well, I don't know what else we do. Ms. Mullinax?
Judge, as the court probably is aware, I just got this, but I did I did speak to him last Monday, but that was before all of these other things happened. He said he had been doing counseling and he thought he was getting better at controlling his anger. I asked him if he thought he needed any kind of medication, and he said he didn't, that he was doing better. And then I guess the next day he ran away. He did tell me he wanted to have contact with his mother and with his grandmother. I don't know if that's a possibility or not, but that's pretty much all he told me.
Mother and grandmother, I mean, I just don't know if are they even staying in touch with us?
Grandmother is deceased, and then I think mother is still available. She talks to CASA, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of where all this sort of started. Her grandmother's passed away. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe it's actually the other grandmother. This is mom's mom that he's wanting contact with.
Okay.
That's correct.
Well, do we have any sense about whether that grandmother wants to have contact or will or is appropriate to, or?
I can find out.
Okay.
I had just put a call into Amanda before our previous court, and so she had just texted me and said for me to call her after court, but that's what I was calling to touch base with, just to see if her mom is willing. I know because of the past there was a lot of hurt, and so I don't know, but I'm speaking out of turn, so I don't know if you want me to speak yet or wait or.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So, Braden has potential and I see it in him, and I just desperately I wish we could get him into a closer placement where he could have actual visits. I wish that he could be in a placement that wasn't an RTC. He seems to do well, and I've spoke with several of his placements that said, when he's by himself, when it's just us and him, or maybe even just one other kid, he does fine. We never have issues. It's always when he's around all these other kids and he always feels like he has something to prove. And that's kind of when he just loses all sense of everything. And it doesn't matter what he has to do or say or what law he has to break in order to prove himself or, be in with them. But especially the last week, I mean, it's like, and, after things, when he runs away and when he steals the car and all, and when you talk to him afterwards, he's like, he always has an excuse, but he's like, I know I shouldn't have done it. I know I shouldn't have. And, it's like, I don't know. I wish that we had a placement that could take just him and he really had a fair chance. Sometimes I feel like because of his behaviors, he gets moved so often that he has never stabilized in one place long enough to set a true relationship with a therapist and with peers there and, and really get the help that he needs. I don't know what that's going to look like for him. I know that placements are limited, and I know with his behaviors and his level of care, it's not, there's not a broad, homes available for him. But, the other thing that Braden always asks me about is talking to his mom. Him and mom have talked a few times and she's okay with talking. She doesn't like to talk to him in front of her current husband and children. So, but Braden is desperate to talk to his mother. Every single time we talk, he says, please call my mom and just tell her I love her. Please just call my mom and tell her how much I miss her. I spoke with him about 12:45 and he said, will you please call the judge and see if she can ask my mom to get on court? He said, that way I can get on court and I can see her face. And I said, well, that's not exactly how it works. And, but he's desperate for some family. He does have a half brother or step brother, I believe, that he's also asked to be in touch with. And so we are going to be doing CFE with that. And then after I speak with the mom, of course, looking into the grandma. But if we could possibly get something set up therapeutic wise with mom, maybe that would help him too. Just knowing, you can't run or you're going to miss your call with mom or your visit with mom or, and set some stipulations with those calls as far as his behaviors go. I don't know, just some ideas, but he is home today. He did not go to school. He was supposed to be on here, but he told me that he was going to get on, but he didn't know if he wanted to because he didn't want to have to hash out the last week and go through all that, relive it. So I'm not sure. I'm guessing that's why he didn't get on today, but I'm upset about the Lubbock thing because I was really hoping to get him closer and maybe into that qualified, but I get the reason. And I don't know, Houston just has not panned out for him thus far. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but we will see what kind of placement it is and how he reacts to it. But I do think if we can get something set up with mom, maybe that could possibly help some.
What is mom's, what's her level of commitment here? All right. So she doesn't like to talk with him around the husband and other kids. And I don't know what's going on there, what pressures there may be, but what is she willing to make, a certain time each week and or willing to do some kind of family therapy with him?
I can talk to her and see. I think she would be willing to do some sort of every Wednesday at 2 or, whatever we work out. And as far as family therapy, I'm not sure. I don't know. I wish she would consider it because I know there is some heartache in the past. And what I've expressed to her is that when Braden turns 18 and if he chooses to leave the system or stay, either way, at that point, he will be reaching out to her and looking for her. And so would you rather deal with it then with nobody involved or deal with it now when you've got, access to a therapist and whatnot? So I can talk to her about that and see if it's something she's willing to get involved with.
If it would help us keep him in one place, that would be huge. And then maybe we can get him leveled down and get him in a QRTP or get him in a foster home that, is willing to kind of take the chance.
Yeah.
Um, I
He
mean,
tells me all the time that he promises to do better if he can just be placed in a foster home where he doesn't have to have, which, I mean, don't they all? But part of me thinks that he probably would do better in a home with that mother and father setting and not that institutionalized living. That's really what kind of gets him.
What does it look like? I mean, to look at something like that. I mean, can we even look for it and give it a try?
Your Honor, we've put our requests out to all the therapeutic foster homes statewide. Currently, no one is taking teenagers. We had no takers on it. We've tried GROs, which are less restrictive. And again, with his running and then his illegal activities and then his drug use, vaping use, and now gang affiliation, it's very hard to find a placement for him. He needs to stay put in order to.
Is he really affiliated with the gang, or is he just claiming that to be big man on campus? I mean.
Yeah, he's just claiming that. He's not.
Unfortunately, because he stated he's gang affiliated, we have to put it on the Common Act because we have to be transparent to all possible placements of that possibility.
And Judge, I know this doesn't help anything, but I did ask Mavis the other day when him and the other kids stole the car if he was going to be charged criminally, and she said not on that particular case. But I haven't talked to her about the newer stuff, like the theft at Walmart and that stuff.
They still didn't charge him. Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, we got too many talking at once. What?
They did not charge him.
Okay. Whatever he stole was recovered, I assume.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh. Well, we got to just try to get him settled somewhere and stay long enough that, we can look at that we got options. So, Ms. Molinax, you think it'd do any good for us to get him on and let me talk to him? Or
Judge, because her parental rights were terminated,
yeah,
if you would order us to contact her and at least discuss the possibility of communications, that might help us be able to do that. I know Cost has reached out to her.
And I know she had a history with drugs and all that, but from everything I've heard, it sounds like she's kind of beyond that and has sort of kick-started her life and has moved on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a better direction.
And Judge, as far as answering your question, he did tell me last week that he wanted to be on to talk to you. He said he had talked to you before. I don't know if that's correct or not, but
yeah, we have.
But I mean, I don't know if we can get him on or not, but I don't know if it'll help or not because he seemed like he was doing well last week, and then all this happened after I talked to him. So
I can call his placement right quick if you'd like, if we have time.
Oh, let's see what we're set on this last one. What? Well, 2:15, and nobody else has logged in yet. So
it's out of Potter County. I didn't know if it was the same link.
It's not. It's a different link, Judge.
Different link, yeah. Okay. I probably can't then today, Ms. Hall, but I mean, I don't know. I guess let's get him relocated, and then maybe that would be the time to talk to him and try to get him settled in there in Richmond. So when we know we've kind of got him there and settled, then Ms. Molinax, if you guys want to let us know, then we'll try to set something up.
And Judge, I just spoke to placement. She said she's going to get him on, at least to talk to you for some few minutes.
Okay. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Okay, so you're going to have to move again.
Yeah.
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 I know. It's a real bummer, isn't it? Okay, so, Braden, what I don't want to spend time talking to you about today is necessarily all the events of the past week. You're a smart young man. You know that was not good. You know it wasn't a good idea. I hope you're sorry about it and remorseful, and it's the old you got to learn from your mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
because all that has done is put us now in a position where we've got to move you again. So, and I know every move is hard. So they've secured a placement for you that's in Richmond. I want to try to get you there. I want to try to get you settled there. And then I want to talk with you at greater length after you get settled there. But I want to make sure, and I'm sure everybody's explained this to you, but I'm gonna just say it one more time. Do you understand that your actions affect where we can find to place you? Okay. So like if you'd like to be in a foster home, which I would very much prefer for you, we got to be able to show a potential foster home that, you're not going to be a huge problem for them, that, you're going to go to school and you're not going to run and you're not going to steal the car and you're not going to, go out and steal from stores and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So we're going to make this move to this new placement. Can you and I come to an agreement that, you're not going to repeat that stuff again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. What I'd like to do is get you, closer to home.
Which Richmond bar?
I'm sorry.
What is Richmond bar?
Richmond?
Mm-hmm.
That's a town.
Right. What's the nearest?
Well, it's not all that far out of Houston. It's about an hour out of Houston.
Okay.
But our options. Our options are limited, and they're definitely limited up here by Amarillo. So to get you closer to home, I need you to help me do that. So what I need you to do is to follow the rules, go to school, be where you're supposed to be. That's it. That's what I need you to do. And when we've done that for a while, then we can start looking again for an alternative placement, something a lot less restrictive, something more home-like, and, try to get you here closer. But I don't know. I don't know how else to tell you. You're 16, you're old enough to hear the truth. And I can't make a placement take you, I don't have some magic wand that I get to wave and say, Braden will go here. I don't have that power. And so, placements have to be willing to take you. So, think about it as like a job interview. You got to put your best foot forward. You got to show them your best qualities, which you have many. We all know it. So, I'm just asking if you and I can agree that you will help me accomplish that. You understand what I'm asking you?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you committed to that? Because helping me, you're helping yourself too. Okay. So, you are at an age, Braden, where you are either going to be your own best friend and advocate, or you're going to be your own worst enemy. And this stuff that went on last week is just you're being your own worst enemy. It hurts you, not anybody else. It hurts you. I still get up and come to my same job every day. I get up at the end of the day and I go to my same house every day. It makes me sad when you get yourself involved in stuff like that, but it doesn't hurt me in the sense of changing my life around. The only person that is affected by that is you. So, all these folks want to help you, and they are committed to helping you. You've got wonderful CASA people, you've got a wonderful attorney, and we just all really want to make life better for you, but you have got to help us do that. Because not one of us can do that on our own. And the truth is, we can't even do it collectively unless you're working with us. So, if we can just get some things smoothed out for you for the last couple of years of high school and all that, we can help you open a whole lot of doors for your future. But it's the same deal. You got to work with us to make that happen. So before the next temptation of going off half-cocked, I want you to think about this conversation and about, all right, who is it really going to affect? Well, it's not going to affect the judge. It's not going to affect my lawyer. It's going to affect me, Braden. So I want to talk to you again when you get moved, okay? And Ms. Molinax and Jamie, and they'll all let me know, and then we'll set up a time to visit some more and about how things are going.
Okay.
But
when's my set date to move?
I'm not sure that Ms. Asante, do you know that date?
Yes, on the 20th.
Okay, November 20th. So coming up really in about a week. So quickly.
Okay.
Okay, so just man, follow the rules between now and then, and let's just try to put a different foot forward when we get to this new placement, and let's start out and let's make the most of it, and then try to get you into something better as quickly as we can. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You're a very nice young man, and I know you are capable of making better decisions.
I have a question about something.
Yep, you bet.
You know how I've been wanting to talk to my mom?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, can I get one phone call today approved to call her today?
What we're gonna do is I'm gonna kind of make some orders about that, and we're gonna talk with your mom and see if we can't get a certain day of the week and time set up, where you all can have a regular conversation. Okay. Now we'll have to talk to your new placement about some of that, and the time of day that can happen and the day of the week, but we're working on that. Okay. So I don't know whether it's feasible for you to have a phone call with her today or not. I don't know. Somebody would have to get in touch with her and see. I don't have a problem with it.
And ask her if she can get in touch.
I mean, if your caseworker can get in touch with her, I'm fine with that. Okay. What I want to see happen is that we get it set up so you've got a regular contact with your mom. You'll know when that's going to be, and that's even a bigger reason for you to stay put and be where you need to be so that you can have that contact. Okay. But we're gonna do our best to get that worked out. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody's made me aware that you really, really want to have regular talks and regular conversations with your mom, and I'm in support of that. Okay. All right. So you and I have a deal, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then I'll let you go, and then when you get moved, we'll get together again. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You take care, and just you put Braden first and think about you first. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. I'll continue the department, permanent managing conservator, and continue placement, and until we change, obviously. And then Ms. Molinax, if you and or Ms. Hall let me know when we've got him there, and let's try to do it fairly soon after he gets there. I guess until then, everybody just got to give him pep talks. And Ms. Apuka Asante, if you can get a hold of Mom, I think it'd be a really good thing.
Okay, Judge.
Okay. All right. I appreciate y'all. Thanks.
Hey, Todd.